We're going to continue with medical math, and remember, we're going to quickly cover a lot of these concepts, but you'll need to practice them on your own. So you do need to understand how to round numbers. The first thing you need to know is what you're rounding to, and this is determined by how accurate you need to be for whatever function you're involved in. Deciding whether to round up or down depends on the digits located to the right of the value used for rounding. For example, if you're rounding to the nearest 10, look to the right of the tens, which is the ones place. And if it's 5 or more, round up, less than 5, round down. So here we're looking at the ones placed, and we would round up to 90. Here we're looking at the ones place, and we would round down to 80. What is 2.346 rounded to the nearest 10th? Look here. You would round to 2.3. Solving with proportions is sometimes used in healthcare. It's often used for converting one unit to another or solving problems. What you need to understand is a proportion shows how two things are related. So 2 is related to 6 as 3 is related to 9. Again, they're useful for conversions. Estimating is an important step, but it is most useful to anticipate results and also determine if the answer makes sense. So if you estimate and your answer is far removed from your estimation, then you have to question either your estimation or the answer or both. So it's calculating an approximate answer, and it does help prevent errors. Of course, it doesn't give you the answer, but can help prevent errors. If the answer doesn't look right, repeat the calculations. This is really important in medical math. You need to be able to recognize if something doesn't seem right. In fact, it's very important in healthcare in general. If the order is to give 2 grams of a medication and you have 1,000 milligrams, how many tablets would you give? So you need to know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, and therefore you would need 2 tablets. You do need to understand military time because it's used in healthcare to avoid confusion between AM and PM, which could have disastrous consequences. It uses a 24-hour clock, so there is no AM or PM, helps us avoid errors. The 12th hour is noon, the 24th hour is midnight, and time is always expressed using 4 digits. The morning hours are expressed with the same numbers as the traditional clock. So there you see 1 a.m., 5:30, 10 a.m. But the afternoon hours, you need to add the time to 1200. 1 p.m. is 1300. 5:30 p.m. is 1730. There's your clock. Take a look at that. You can stop this video if you need to. And let's practice. 1 o'clock a.m. is the same as 0100. 4:30 p.m. is the same as, remember to add 1200, 1630. 11:45 a.m. is the same in each time. 6:24 p.m., remember to add the 1200, 1824. Roman numerals are being phased out because of the potential to cause errors. You may need to recognize them, so it's good sometimes just to know the very basics. And you can review this on your own. I do not believe there's a test question on Roman numerals. Angles is a different story, though. Angles are used in healthcare when describing injections, joint movement, and even bed positions. They're always defined by reference to a plane, and the distance between the plane and the line of the angle is measured in degrees. So here we see the reference plane, and here are the angles. So let's practice. And you can do this by sitting in your chair. Show me what head of bed at 45 degrees looks like. There you go. How about head of bed at 90 degrees? There you go. Systems of measurement are several. Okay, there's the household system, and that's the one you're probably most used to. These are the different units for measuring distance, capacity, and mass, or weight. You can review that in your text. And there's a metric system, which is more commonly used in healthcare. It's actually something that Americans have resisted, but it is easier and makes much more sense than the system we use. This chart here may be helpful. It's important that you do practice using and understanding the metric system. You can see there that the unit for distance is meters, capacity is liters, and mass is grams. So these are some common prefixes. Make sure you memorize them. And let's practice. 1 kilogram is how many grams? It's 1,000. 1 centimeter is how many meters? It's 1/100th. How many milliliters in a liter? And 1,000. So a lot of students have to practice the metric system, and we'll try to do some of this in class as well. We don't use the apothecary system as much as we used to. You may see it, but you won't have a test question on it. You will have to convert systems. This is important because it's very often a necessary task in healthcare, and you need to make sure that you're accurate. And some of these conversion factors you just need to remember, to memorize. Things like 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeters, 39.4 inches equals a meter. A teaspoon equals 5 milliliters. So everything on these slides are important for you to remember, except I won't have a question on the apothecary system, so you don't have to memorize grains. 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeters. Therefore, 65 inches equals how many centimeters and meters? Give that a try. Stop the video if you need a little time. There are your answers. 2.2 pounds equals a kilogram. Therefore, a patient who's 195 pounds is how many kilograms? Stop if you need to. There's your answer. Another one, a patient weighs 125 25 pounds, how many kilograms is that? There you go. Sorry, I was a little quick there. And here's a patient weighing 64 kilograms. How many pounds is that? Stop the video if you need to. There you go. Patient's height is 58 inches. How many centimeters is that? If that's your conversion factor. There you go. So make sure, I know we went over these very quickly, make sure you understand how to do them and practice, practice, practice. Patient reports drinking 8 ounces of water. What is this in milliliters? Well, 1 ounce is 30 milliliters, so that would be 8 times 30, which is 240. Temperature conversion is a little bit complex in that the equation isn't simple, okay, the converting. So I typically leave the equation up on the board during a test, but this is something that you will have to do. You see there the difference in the two systems. You may be used to Fahrenheit, but often in healthcare you use Celsius. There's your two scales. And here are the two methods. So I usually put the decimal method up on the board during the test. So you would need to know how to use the equation, not memorize the equation. Okay? But if you would like to practice, which is important, you can take some practice time here. Stop the video if you need to. There's another practice problem. And another. Okay? Be sure to bring your questions to class. So we are only going to do very simple medication dosages, and the simple formula used is what the physician ordered divided by what you have in hand is the dose to administer. So if the doctor orders 500 milligrams, but you have 250 milligram tablets, then you know that you need to perform that function. 500 divided by 250, that would be 2 tablets. Okay, follow up with the response.